All right, happy Friday, SKFL. Just got done with a long one with Casey and first-time guest Moosa. I accidentally forgot to turn it off at the end, and we had some bonus fun action as well. So hopefully you enjoy. We talked a little politics, talked a little Halloween candy, and you can skip ahead 30 minutes if you want to see the picks for Week 9. All right, guys, have a good weekend. Well, do we have a president, gentlemen?
I
still have my champagne on ice since Tuesday, so I don't think it's there yet officially. I think everybody's just waiting for Fox News to be the one to break it. But I feel good.
There is officially a Biden announcement tonight.
Yeah, there is.
I think it's gonna be official tonight. I'm just like looking at the latest polls. Obviously, like overtook Georgia, overtook Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, he's probably going to beat that by over 20,000. So how do you do a recount when you win by a state by over 20,000? I don't know. Georgia, you could recount it, but it won't matter because he'll get close to 290.
I think I saw on when they do recounts, maybe like 150 votes will swing or 175 or something like that, but it's never going to be a large amount unless something funky's going on. I do know when I went to bed Tuesday night, I thought it was over for sure. I was pretty hammered, to be honest with you, but I for sure thought that it was going the wrong direction.
Yeah. Because I was going to ask you, which way did you think it was over? You thought it was the bad side, right? Yeah.
I thought Trump was winning. It was going to be a repeat of 2016, and I was like, "Fuck this!" I had a couple shots, and man, I was out. I was like, "I don't want to deal with this." Then I woke up in the morning with a bunch of texts from Casey and you guys kind of updating me. So that's how it went for me. How did you guys feel?
Jeffrey and I went over to AJ's house to kind of just take it all in and be together, and a couple other people there. And I would say, while I was driving home from work and heading to AJ's, I felt pretty good. I mean, Georgia was looking good. Some of these states I thought we needed were good. But from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., I don't think the room said a word. I mean, Angel got there late, and she was like, oh, my gosh, what's wrong? Because everybody was just so devastated. There was a swing where it didn't look good. And I was going to say between 7 and 10 p.m. On Tuesday night is probably my low point where I really felt like it was going to go the other way. I was up till about midnight, 1 in the morning on Tuesday, and I started to feel a little bit better, but it was Wednesday morning where things really got optimistic on my side. Just to bring it back into like the SKFL tie-in shit, like these mail-in ballots are the double whammy. Like, how does he flip 600,000 in Pennsylvania on these mail-in ballots?
Well, voter fraud, of course.
Monday Night Moro, baby.
That's on shop.
Well, yeah, it looks like Biden's going to pull it out, which is great news, at least for us three who don't like presidents that are idiots and racist. So
I think Moose and I are safe. We're out here in Washington. You're in Indiana, so you got to be a little bit careful on what you say.
Yeah, it's true. There's a house three houses down that's got a big Trump flag like hanging right on the garage. So
well, we were giving you shit on Tuesday because I think the first state that announced their results was Indiana. So
yeah, baby. Home of the KKK. We know how to vote red, baby.
I was going to ask you, like, the Pence love there must be nuts, right?
Not really. I mean, so really? Indiana that I've learned is it's very pocketed. So like certain areas, like we live in West Lafayette, which is basically Purdue University. So it's not super conservative. Indianapolis is pretty liberal. South Bend is pretty liberal, but anything south of Indy is basically like the deep South. It's Bible Belt stuff. So it's everybody's down there. But northern Indiana is a little bit different.
Yeah, look at Pennsylvania pockets.
Philadelphia is what saved us exactly. I don't get outside of my Washington State boundaries enough. So, I guess it's similar to when you go east of the mountains out here, but it's funny to me because I'm just so surrounded by blue and left, and So it's weird that states can be like that, where an entire state, you look at the counties and it's 90% red, but where everybody lives, that's where the votes are coming in at, and that tends to be blue. And Atlanta saved us, Philly saved us. Start your Falcons, start your Eagles this week, guys.
Yeah, exactly. It's just crazy, when these things happen. You get a reminder every 4 years that we're still big nation divided, and a lot of these states and counties and places, I believe, mostly still vote based on the party and not the person. True. But this one, more than ever, I think definitely had an effect as far as the person you're voting for. And shoot, man, like you said, it was sketch city last night, or on the first night, and then yesterday I was thinking, man, we're gonna be like, I was like worried about what the nation was going to turn into, like, as far as possible.
There are a lot of people that are voting.
Right. But now, don't you feel like you woke up this morning and you're like, it's actually, I think the Republicans are kind of ready to move forward. I think from what you're hearing, like everybody's kind of, okay, they're in the point of acceptance. Obviously, there's one guy left who he will not accept it. So we're going to see what he does. But it's a lot more peaceful today than I think compared to yesterday.
Yeah, when I saw like the protesters outside the voting spots, I think it was like in Phoenix or maybe one in Philadelphia, that got me a little bit nervous. I think a couple guys were even armed, which made me. But yeah, it seems to be kind of calming down, with the exception of the leader who is calling everybody to action and don't take this laying down and all that shit. So
it reminds me of the Trump side reminds me of my conversation with Yusuf when I had to try and explain to him in 2008 the tie with Cappers in the championship. He wasn't having it, man. He wasn't hearing it. He said he won. He said the tiebreaker was best overall player, and I had to take the side where I had to talk to Yusuf about it. And that's what yesterday reminded me of.
The Wayback Machine.
Hence the fractional point conversation.
Exactly, right? Exactly. Yeah. I will say, we've talked about, there's always been conversations about like, what, if you go back in history, like what would be a great time to look back and have social media, like the Tupac death and 9/11 and things like that. Right. This week has been amazing on social media, man. Some of the memes that have been out there and some of the video posts have just absolutely just had me belly laughing.
Oh, for sure, man. 2020 is the year of like, what else could happen? It's like, you just like, 2020 keeps one-upping itself. Like, it's crazy. It's so crazy. I just we'll never have a year like this ever again, guys.
Well, this is where too, I think I finally realized just the power of Twitter. I mean, even 4 years ago, I don't remember being on Twitter for the election of Hillary and Trump at all. But no joke, I'm getting 90% of my information on Twitter, and I've got CNN on TV on loop, and I'm getting it faster on Twitter than I would be on TV, on CNN or MSNBC or Fox or anything like that. So it's not going away. The social media side of information right now in real time is unprecedented.
Yeah, it certainly has been. I think the big winner this week, aside from Biden, has been John King. I mean, that guy is basically he's Beethoven on that thing. I mean, he can play all the notes.
Right now, my rankings are Pat Mahomes, John King on the God stat.
You guys are loving him, man. When I see John King this week, makes me want to play a game of Risk.
That's a good call.
I want to get on there and just start rolling some dice, baby. No, it's freaking awesome, man. I mean, this I will say, like, it's crazy that Florida can get all their counts in, and they have mail-in ballots, and they do it all in one day. And here we are in Pennsylvania still figuring it out and stuff. So
Nevada's sitting there at like 80. I mean, they haven't moved in 3 days. I don't understand how you can get 80.
Are they betting parlays like Rob? What's going on?
I know. Right?
Are they cashing out?
Capital of the world can't figure out how to count these damn ballots.
I don't know what the hell they're doing. They only got a handful too. They got like 60,000, 70,000. I mean, just zip them through a machine, man.
Exactly. Like the three of us could go down there and knock that thing out overnight. I can't believe like they're taking these breaks, they're taking vacation days. Yeah, no, it's the one thing that I learned through this whole thing, like going in, I would have always expected, the mail-in ballots to be first counted. I didn't realize some of these states couldn't touch them until after all the in-person votes. So, tracking it on Tuesday, I think that's when that 3-hour fear for me came in, where I was like, this isn't good, because everything was trending red, but not realizing that these mail-in ballots that you knew were going to favor the blue side were going to be the last thing to come in. I think that opened my eyes to how the process works, because it's a true sorry bitch to the other side right now. Because I mean, you heard Trump on Tuesday night. I mean, he thought he was winning, and I think most people did. And all those votes are coming in 70% plus on the other side. It's unbelievable.
No, it's honestly like, I don't want to give Trump any credit or give him, obviously he doesn't deserve anything, but in his debates, if you remember, he was kind of seeing this coming, in the sense where he's like, listen, are you going to concede the election if you lose? And he's like, well, with all this suspected voter fraud that he thought was going to happen, he's talking about mail-in ballots and things like that. So he knew mail-in ballots was going to have just a massive effect this year. And I don't know if it's going to, obviously I don't think it's going to be the same effect in 2024, because we won't have COVID, so I think people will go out and vote like they traditionally do. But come on, I mean, you're losing by crazy margins, man. You can't say that there's a 30,000 vote skew here and a 40,000 vote skew here.
He'll say it, baby.
Yeah. How do you vote in Indiana, Rob? Do you have mail in? Do you drop box, or do you go in person?
They have it all here. Yeah, you have to. It's mostly in person. If you want to do mail in, you have to have a reason.
Okay.
But it's pretty easy to get that. It wasn't challenging to do that. The only hard part was doing it with a Washington license. Yeah, that took a bit of a process, but no. So let me ask you guys this.
Trump's gonna use that right now. And say, that's what
all's on the up and up. Cassidy voted for the first time, if you can believe that.
Nice.
What's that?
Good for her.
Yeah. So better chance of happening in 2024. Trump running again, presuming he loses, or the Trump News Network, TNN, is in full force with a bunch of good-looking blondes bringing us the news.
I vote, if you're asking me right now, I vote TNN. I think he goes back to his business side. He goes back to his money-making side. He wants to bank as much as he can off this stature that he has, because he has. Look at, he has 70 million people still voting for him in this country, which is, at the end of the day, granted we have more people voting, but that's the second most votes in the history of this election, right behind Biden, of course, who's going to win this. So
he's not going away.
Business-wise, he's going to just bank on his name right now and build this stupid TNN thing. That's why he's already bashing Fox News, it looks like, man.
Yep. Casey, what do you think?
I totally agree. And he's not going away. His social media is still going to be a thing that, he could make, if he starts putting ads out on his social media, like some of these TikTok stars, he can bank on that. I think Donald Trump in 4 years is probably too old. What I'd be worried about is somebody like one of his sons getting into it, or, somebody with the Trump tie, I don't think is going away. But I don't think Donald Trump in 2024 is going to be a thing in terms of the presidential race. But yeah, the Trump name will still be in politics.
He's a pretty sore loser, so I'm not. But I would bet on the media aspect as well. I think that's kind of what his whole plan to do this. I think maybe that's what it was, because he was always calling in to Fox, and I think a rival network to Fox would be actually really, really interesting, because then Fox would kind of have to moderate itself, we'll see how that plays out. But it'll be interesting to see. But we also, one other kind of off football topic. I know we had Halloween last week. Hopefully you guys went trick-or-treating. On one of our group threads, we were talking about best Halloween candy. So you guys have like a top 3 Halloween candy?
Yeah.
Start with you, Case.
All right, I'll go first. I will say this Halloween, it took me 40 plus years, but I finally made the move to full-size candy bar handouts. No more the fun size, no more the little ones. We are one of the full-size candy bars on the block. So
the economy is booming at the Tegger household.
Yeah, well, it's not even that. It's like I think just the demand. There's not that many trick-or-treaters. I think back in the day, you used to get 200 people to come to your house. You couldn't really afford it then. Now you're lucky to get 30 or 40 in our neighborhood. People just aren't doing it anymore. So, I always remembered the houses growing up as a kid as the ones that, oh my gosh, they gave out the full-size candy bars. And so yeah, and candy's gone up. I mean, all of a sudden, you used to be able to buy like those packs of fun sizes for $2-3. Now you go to a store and they're $4 or $5. You end up giving a kid 2 or 3. It costs more money than it would to just go and buy a full size candy bar lot at Costco. So we made that move. I think it's easier to have full size candy bars lying around the house as opposed to the little ones, just in terms of
snacking.
Yeah, snacking, exactly.
Freezing.
Yeah, so we made that move. In terms of my favorite candies, my number one candy bar, if I'm going to a store and grabbing one, is a Snickers almond. I'll do Snickers just general too. That's up there in my top 3, but a Snickers almond is my number one candy bar. In terms of like a snack chocolate, Reese's Pieces is probably is my number 2. And then number 3, I'm going to just kind of group like gummies together. I don't really like the super sour gummies. Like, Sour Patches are all right and the straws are all right, but the Peachios and Gummy Cokes and Gummy Worms, Gummy Bears, all that stuff I kind of just group together, because if I'm snacking around the house, I tend to lean to more the gummy candies than I do a chocolate bar.
How about you, Moose?
That's a solid list. So I look back at it like this: when we were in our peak days of trick or treating as kids, I would think back, okay, so what is the candy like I'm trying to trade for, right? So that's right. So I always remember when it was time to dump out the bags. So we had 9 or 7 or 8 piles of different bags, and everyone's sorting. I'm thinking to myself, okay, the first candy I always wanted was the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. So that's my first choice.
Okay.
So based on what I remember, like the candy I was looking to get. Number 2, Snickers for sure. So this is I've always been a Snickers junkie. I mean, it's like, I don't like Snickers frozen. I know people do that frozen Snickers thing. To me, the nougat becomes too hard. So I like it just a regular room temp Snickers, because it's still nice and chewy and not too crazy on the teeth. And then last, honestly, I mean, it's been weird, but we've been talking about this candy bar, and I realized, like, on my fiend days, I call them, the days I fiend sugar, sometimes I gotta go to the store. I'll grab a whatchamacallit.
Whatchamacallits are good, man. You just brought those back.
It's got the chocolate, it's got the Rice Crisp, the peanut butter, the caramel. What else do you need, man?
Oh man, that's it. That thing's pushing my top 3 for sure. I could have that at 4 or 5, definitely. Just to tag on to Moose, like, to me, Snickers is the Coca-Cola of soda pops. Like, you're never going wrong with a Snickers. Like, it satisfies you. If you're hungry, it'll fill you up. If you're just craving chocolate, it's always a go-to. It never lets you down. On your Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, do you prefer like the bigger cup size, or do you like the minis? Now Reese's Peanut Butter Cups have got like 4 or 5. They've got like Reese's Pieces inside Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Yeah. Well, do you remember? So there's always a Halloween size that was like wrapped in gold, kind of, and then like that gold foil. So it's a little thicker than a regular one.
Yes. Yes.
That was
that was it.
I call that one. That's the Hennessy right there, brother. You gotta you shoot for that, brother. You trade everything. You trade it all for the gold, gold ones, right? And then we go with the OG one, which is the one that you get in the stores, the traditional size one. That's number 2. I've tried the big. You ever tried the big one? The one.
It was way too much peanut butter for me.
Correct. I'm the same way. Way too much. I like that balance, which is why the original still.
The original is
behind the gold one. I don't know what it is. That gold one, man.
It's a little bit thicker of a chocolate, man. And I know that's what it is.
That's what it
doesn't
is.
give you that full peanut butter punch like some of the others do.
Oh, it's like the scene for me when I open a Wonka bar and instead of the gold foil, it's just that pure little perfect square chocolate right there with the peanut butter right there, man. Oh, in fact, I might go get some after this.
I know.
Well, I defer to you two on the candy conversation, because I'm pretty plain Jane. I like just like M&Ms and Starburst and shit like that. That's kind of the only stuff I go to.
If I could recommend a candy for you guys that you guys might have not tried, it's something that I've been, for some reason, it's hitting me this year. I've only been able to find it in 7-Elevens. They're Airheads, but they're like these like kind of like hard shell candy looking things, but they're actually chewy.
Yes.
They're called like Paradise Blends.
I've seen them.
Dude.
I do. A
crisp. I get hooked on those.
It's a crispy shell, but chewy on the inside.
Yes.
Sweet and sour. No, I put that into my top 3 mix of just like chewy gummy candies. Those things are great.
Oh, dude. Dude,
SKFLers in the comments section. We want to see your favorite candies. List them out, baby, 1 through 10.
Sure.
All right, well, let's get to.
Yeah, it's candy corn, and crap.
Yeah, we don't want to hear Jeffrey's candy corn.
Oh.
I used to love candy corn as a kid, but I don't touch it anymore.
I remember, I would say if I knew Moro in your top 3, you would have lemon heads, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That was my go-to as a kid. Yeah, I love the tart, sour, lemony stuff.
Yeah. See, and lemon heads, they came out with like a chewy lemon head now.
Yep.
And like those are those things are part of that top. I could always use the chewy lemon head. I don't like the old standard lemon heads. It had like that weird waxy taste in the middle. But the chewy ones are definitely up there for me too.
Well, let's go to the videotape. Let's go to the games here. Let me pull this up, and we got the goddamn dogs barking here. Let me share my screen. All right, so we've got some really interesting matchups this week. It's nice that all of us right now, we're all 500 or better. We're all in the playoff mixes where you want to be. I was kind of analyzing things, and I'm actually going to jump out of this real quick. And you probably noticed this too. The Sorry Bitch team of the year so far has been Fist Care or Manic Mondays now. It's just, look at his 1,877, which is really respectable if you look across the league. He's definitely in the upper half, top 4, I think. But then he's at the 1950 against, which is just brutal.
Yeah.
If you look around the league, like myself, probably gotten a little bit of the easy, the 1789 George Washington era right there, but he's all the way up into post-World War II with his point total. So, I think I see Lowe's at 2 and 6, but I don't think he's out of it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, he had a tough loss last week, and I mean, 2 points that Evan Ingram catch. You cursed him with bringing up Evan Ingram. He needed that win against Blake, and I really think that 2 and 6 at this point he can't really afford to lose. He's almost got to win out to get to 8 and 6. I mean, his point tiebreaker maybe at 7 and 7 will get him in there. But he's in trouble. That loss last week really hurt. He's got 5 games decided of under 15 points, and he has lost 4 of those. So, I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, it's one thing. It's a kicker start, picking the right kicker away of easily winning 2 of those 4, and he'd be right back in it. So you're right. I mean, it's tough breaks with the schedule gods for him because his overall points is great. You look at his roster, and, his receivers and Aaron Rodgers are great. Jeffrey's brought it up before, too. Like, you always at some point he was going to get in trouble with his running backs because Mike Davis was going to fall off. Drake was going to end up being in a tough year. Chubb was going to come back and hurt Hunt, and he just didn't take advantage of that time when all those running backs were RB1s, and I think that's what's going to cost him.
Moosa, I'm going to give you 3 team names. You tell me which one you think has the best chance to win the title, okay? Yeah. Pick one from each division. We're going to go Rockford, Blake's team, Casey's team. Go.
Okay. Ooh, that's interesting. So you're saying to flat out win the division or win it all?
Who would most have, if you had to put $25 on one of those teams to win the whole thing, who would you go with?
Wow. Well, I know this is going to sound crazy, but maybe I think everyone's starting to jump on this guy's bandwagon, especially after yesterday's game. But Blake scares me a lot in the sense that I'm looking at his team right now, and he's got 3 guys that'll get you right now. He got 3 guys that'll get you 140.
Yeah,
that's crazy to me. I think that's the scariest combination of 3 alphas on a team right now. Herbert's the big question mark. I don't know if he can keep it up. All signs point to yes, because he hasn't let up from the moment go. Now his 4th best player is on IR right now on Chubb. So he's got a lot of deficiencies. So do I think he can win it all? No. At the end of the day, I think there's some other teams that are just too strong overall, but he scares the shit out of me. Like, I'm looking at him like, wow, you gotta have good, not great performance, but you gotta have good performances from all your players, because Devontae is he's on a 3-game streak that I don't know. I haven't seen matched in quite a while. If you look at his last 3 games, he's been tearing shit up, and I don't think that's gonna stop. I think Devontae is a true number 1. Russ is 50.
I just want to jump in on Adams really quick because I caught this today and it blew me away. But if you take out that game 2 against the Lions where he got hurt and just look at all of his games that he finished from start to end and average his fantasy points out, it's number 2 pace of all time behind Randy Moss's crazy year. It's over Jerry Rice's season where he had like 22 touchdowns. It's been that good for Adams. And I don't think we're realizing what he's doing, but you look at this and it's like, holy shit, look at the touchdowns right now in the games that he's played. I mean, you're banking on 2 a game and he's got 3 games over 150 yards. And, you know, the funny thing is, I mean, I don't know how many, I think Adams was available 3 weeks ago on the trade market in the SKFL. And I think a lot of people are kicking themselves for not really inquiring and seeing what that was going to take to get that, because when he was hurt, you had Blake looking to try and move him because he didn't want to lose those games. And I think right now I'm with you. Adams is killing any kind of pace that Michael Thomas did as like the bona fide receiver 1 of the last 2 years. It's unbelievable. And when him and Aaron Rodgers are rolling, you're right. There is not a better receiver in the game right now.
Oh, it's and you know, to comment on your guys' teams, I honestly do think you guys have the better team than Blake, but sometimes to win it all, you need to be hot at the right time and just have those guys. We've always said this is like a big dick league. So if you have those big dick guys, the guys that put up 50s, those are the scariest teams.
And Blake, his 3 big dick guys have all had their buys, so I think that's huge. I mean, we'll talk about it in the matchups, but he plays Cappers this week, which arguably should be the game of the week. I mean, if Blake beats Randy this week, I think the whole league realizes Blake's here to be competitive this year. He gets to 4-6 and knocks out Randy's team at full strength, then holy crap. And getting that 50 from Adams last night puts him in the driver's seat, really.
Blake's got to update some of the stuff on his team page, though. I mean, what are we doing here, buddy? I mean, hey, if you're a God lover, more power to you. But that's the remnants of the old owner, I think.
I think
so. Well, let's get into these matchups real quick, and we'll just kind of see what we think is going to happen here. I'm gonna kick this one off to you guys because I'm gonna go shut these dogs up real quick. But Yusuf against the RFBs. I'll let Moosa hit it off first.
Yeah, this one I looked at it today. Gosh, I'm right off the bat when I looked at it, I'm leaning towards Yusuf on this one, and the reason is I'm not a big fan of Josh Allen the rest of the year. I think that Buffalo is starting to reach a certain odd point where they're not looking as good as they were in the beginning of the season. We know Daniel Jones, and we don't like what we see with Daniel Jones. I think everyone's kind of on the same boat with him. We were all watching that game against Tampa Bay, and he overthrew like 4 whammies, I think.
Exactly.
And I was like, wow, like Daniel Jones, like that is crazy to me. That on a good defense, Tampa Bay is a very good defense.
Daniel Jones last year, so you've seen what his upside can be, and it just hasn't.
And then you look at the rest of his team, right? So you look at Wade's wideouts, and holy shit. I mean, if I woke up and I had a nightmare, I'd wake up with Wade's wide receivers, right? I'd be like, holy shit, what is this? But he's got Godwin back.
Arguably, coming out of the draft, we thought Wade had the best receiving group in the league. I mean, that's the problem is Golladay and Godwin have been so banged up. Chark hasn't done anything. Now he's got Boyd, who's probably his best receiver on bye. I agree. I mean, Gabe Davis and Aguilar in your starting lineup on Wade's team, who we used to say were 6 receivers deep, came out absolutely nowhere.
So, you said it. His 3 best wideouts are probably on the bench, right? Besides Godwin. When he gets them all back, it's going to be okay. But for this week, if we're talking this week, I have to give the edge to Yusuf. I don't like Yusuf's team either for the long haul. I don't think it's a playoff team. But Marvin Jones, I know that Stafford's out, but somebody's got to catch balls, right, with no Golladay. Exactly. Sterling Shepard, again, if anyone's going to make something out of that Giants Redskins game, I'll call them the Redskins, but if someone's going to get anything out of the game, it's Sterling. And then again, the big debut, Michael Thomas possibly, right? We are I think everybody in the league is wondering to see what this guy's going to look like. Is he going to be the Michael Thomas that Rob had for those years? I don't know. I mean,
hard to
I would say coming off of his injury and how long he's been gone. I would say that this week they're just going to ease him in if they play him. I don't even know if they're going to play him because it's still up in the air. But I still think Yusuf has enough to win it this week against Wade.
I'm going to be a bit of a contrarian here because I see what you're saying. I think I would probably put Yusuf as the favorite, but I see a lot of Drew Brees against Tampa Bay, Tannehill against the Bears, Easy E against the Steelers, Michael Thomas against the team that shut his ass down week 1. So I see a path where Yusuf's team may struggle to score, and I can see a path where, Josh Allen could put up 60 on the Seahawks just based on how the D is prepared this year. So I think I lean Use, but I see the path to 270, so to speak, for Wade.
Wow, 270.
Wow, that's big. Yeah, I don't.
Oh no, that was a election anecdote there. The path to 270 to win.
Oh, good one.
Yeah, I think
keep up, boys. Come on.
I have to keep up. Joe Mixon injury hurt, but Gio Bernard has been filling in, so that on bye also hurts.
Yeah.
Having to plug in James White. You end up never feeling good about it, and he gives you some points, but I don't know. New England Jets, the way the Patriots have looked, you just can't bank on anything there. The guy right now that I'm intrigued with, because it hasn't happened yet, is Hunter Henry. We talk about Herbert every week, and at some point, you pull up Henry's stats really quick, because I feel like an explosion could be on the horizon for him, and he's actually, it's not really happening, but he's getting the targets. He's just not getting the yards. And, with Herbert throwing for 300 plus a game, that surprises me. So I think he needs Herbert to step up for Blake to really feel like he's got a competitive team. So I'm with Moosa. I go Yusuf on this team. He's got some question marks. Drew Brees hasn't looked great. He's not practicing. So then that ties into Michael Thomas, who, has to deal with, like you said, Carlton Davis again. And we know he shuts down guys. Easy E right now is the piece that is hard to play. And, you went from a guy that's a top 3, non-quarterback in our league to that team's an absolute mess. And you're just hoping to get 20 out of it. You just go across the board.
Have they named the starter yet, Casey?
What's that? They haven't yet. No, I'm waiting for the practice reports to see if he's
college team, man. It's a college.
What I like about this matchup, though, one of my favorite aspects is the defenses. Giants versus the Skins. They both got them, and they're playing heads up. So it's one of those close games where I really think that defense could decide the game. If one of those teams win, 27-7, that's a 25-point swing from your defense right there. And I think that's probably what it comes down to.
I am curious on one thing that Yusuf has right now, because he has Ronald Jones starting and Curtis Samuel on the bench. I am curious to see if he ends up sticking with this lineup, or maybe realizing that Rojo only got 17, was out there for 17 snaps last week. And Samuel was actually looking good last week. Samuel was had his best week last week. So we'll see. That's one of those things. Maybe he has a feeling, maybe he feels like Rojo has a breakout game. But me personally, I would have Samuel in there.
I think I agree. I was disappointed with what I saw from Jones last week and last couple weeks. J.K. Dobbins is still an X factor. It doesn't look like Ingram's going again. So you cut one of those heads off of that 3-headed monster in Baltimore. And, the Colts defense is pretty good, but Dobbins has flashed in limited action. So I think that's another key piece for Yusuf is the Dobbins game. I think he needs 20 plus from J.K.
Well, it's a big game for the playoffs, maybe that 5-6 seed, and I think we're all leaning Yusuf to go to 5-4. All right, IAC, you got off to probably not the start you wanted last night, 49-0 over the dark side. I'll let you lead off here. Is you feeling comfortable with this, or is this just a disaster for you?
Well, I'll be honest, midway through the third quarter last night, it felt like a disaster. I was chalking up the week. Nick Mullins had a fucking 7. And I thought he was going to get benched. So I think Los brought his name up, and all of a sudden he got some late slop. To get a 24 out of Nick Mullins, I'm not mad at that at all. My start-sit decision actually was coming down to Damian Harris versus Nick Mullins and flexing out that second quarterback. So if you would have told me Damian Harris was going to give me a 24, I'd be okay with it. The guy that disappointed me, obviously, is Hasty. I went all in thinking Hasty was going to kind of dominate that backfield, and he gave me a 5. So that hurts. I knew this game was going to be close going in, and I now need to have Kenny have somebody kind of fail this week. So I need that to happen. But I was the most disappointed last night out of Aaron Jones. And, he was a guy that I didn't know if I was starting at 505. I didn't know if he was a decoy. I didn't know how much they'd limit him. But then he comes out and gets a 9 on the first drive of the game.
Right.
And at
Dominant.
that point, I was banking on a 30. I mean, Aaron Jones, I was going to be disappointed after that first drive with anything under 30, and he gives me a 20, which is by far his low of the year. So the Aaron Jones hurt. Other than that, yeah, it's, I'm Will Fuller. I like that matchup. But then otherwise, I'm chasing points. I need a Kyler Murray 50, and Murray's been carrying me for the last month or so in his start. So glad to have him back on bye. But this one's going to be tight because I do like a lot of Kenny's matchups. His quarterbacks have great matchups. His Steeler defense is freaking the crap out of me against the Cowboys.
Yep.
And, his receivers are up in the air. So I think that if I'm going to have a shot at this, I need one or two of those receivers to kind of fall flat. But none of them have horrible matchups. So this one's going to be tight. I felt way more confident. Last night, I was banking on 60 points out of those three. I wanted 70, but I was going to be happy with 60. So the 49's a little bit under what I projected. So now I need to pick up some points somewhere else.
Yeah, at this point, I think I'm leaning Kenny for the exact same reasons you mentioned, especially the fact that Steelers D, that could be a 50, a 60, who knows? Moosa, what do you see here? What's your prediction?
Yeah, you hit it on the head right there, Rob. I would say that Casey's got the biggest gun in this game. He's got Kyler. I think Kyler could possibly score as much as Ben and Drew combined, so that's going to help him out a lot.
I need that.
Miami D stuff.
And this is my game though. This is my weekly, and you guys know the reference. I don't know Angola, but Angola's in trouble. This is my game, guys. And my Angola this week is Casey Tegger. The reason I think, again, you just caught Kenny on a bad week. I think Kenny has all his guys. You don't have your guy. I think overall you have the better team. But again, this is just the matchups that present themselves. And right now, Kenny's got both his starting quarterbacks, both his starting running backs. They have good matchups for the most part. And that Pittsburgh D is scary this week.
That's the thing that I always come back to is that Steelers D. And I will say this. I mean, talk about that trade last week with Kenny screwing me. He deals Darrell Henderson, who's on bye, gets Derrick Henry. He deals Breeze, who's going against Tampa Bay, gets Drew Lock. And then he deals there was AJ Green, who he would have been starting, who's on bye, and is able to put in Mike Williams and Sammy Watkins.
Happy gets you again, huh?
I'll get him in.
Good one, yes.
The curse of Happy again. Oh man. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Aaron Jones was your biggest disappointment yesterday, not Hasty, because we didn't know with Hasty, but once Aaron Jones suited up, especially after that first drive, you're like, holy shit! Here comes Aaron Jones 50.
Well, the Packers had 3 touchdowns from the 1 yard line, and Aaron Jones didn't even get a shot. I mean, they went to a tight end, they went to MVS, and a third guy got a touchdown. I can't remember who it was.
This is the classic, though. Like, this is the classic Aaron Rodgers. I'm gonna pad my stat. Game,
he had that look.
Yeah, had that look for sure, man.
Well, our third game here, we've got. Well, we'll go back. I think we're all kind of maybe leaning. That the dark side's gonna pull that one out. The next one, we've referenced this already. Cappers against Blake.
What a game!
Blake is already up 50. We've got big matchups all across the board. Some wild card stuff here. We'll start with you, Moosa. If you're handicapping this, you're gonna put your 25 shekels on a team. Which one are you gonna go with here?
Like I said earlier in the conversation, I'm giving 140 right now to Herbert, Wilson, and Devontae, right? So now he's got 140. So now he just needs to get, I'm going to say, about 110 from his other guys, right?
Yep.
So between 8 guys, and he has the Patriots defense against the Jets.
Yep.
So that's half of them. That's half of them right there. I will give the slight edge. I'm going to give it to Blake right now. I think Cappers has the second best team in the league behind Ian.
And he's at full strength this week too, which
I know it's crazy. This is why I'm very excited about this matchup. I think Blake is the team you don't want to play. If Blake somehow gets into the playoffs, you avoid him at all costs. And that might change, right? You never know, but he's scary. And Cappers still has Kamara. The Kyle Allen, Cam Newton thing scares me. You know,
Cam against the
Randy,
Jets, I think is probably he needs Cam to show up against the Jets. He just has to.
I mean, Randy has Blake crushed in every other position.
Right.
But that's the thing. I mean, you look at the Devontae Adams 50 and you want to just give it to Blake, but it's like Tyreek can get a 50, DK Metcalf can get a 50. So it's like he could easily offset the Devontae Adams. And sure, we're not even talking about Antonio Brown sitting on his IR. I mean, Antonio Brown, you could pencil in right now. And I know Moro's a little bit lower than I am on Antonio Brown, but shit, I might throw Antonio Brown in there over Kyle Allen.
Could possibly, yeah.
Right
now, what would you guys say the advance? Like, how much do you think Herbert and Wilson score more than Cam and Kyle? I mean, that's
I mean, it could be 70 or 60 or 70 points different.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, I'd go, 45 to 50 for Randy's two guys, and then it's hard to go anything above 100 for Blake's. So I think it's more like it's more about 50.
Yeah, 50 sounds about right, but it could get 60, 70. It's like, wow, that becomes very worrisome because Kyle Allen could put up the 5. You know.
I mean, I think Randy's expecting to lose the quarterbacks by 50. I still have to side with Cappers. I mean, Kamara honestly could beat all 3 of Blake's running backs by himself. So at that point, I think Randy needs to get one of his receivers to get a 40, and he'll win this game.
Tough defense, though. That's the only thing. Kamara put up a 30 against the Yucks in week 1, though. So that's kind of probably where your baseline is for him there.
I was looking at that. Good call, Rob.
Yeah.
I actually thought that this was not the Kamara game. That's why I gave the slight edge.
Gurley against Denver. I don't love that either. Denver's got a pretty frisky defense. At least for the most, it feels like that watching the games without pulling up the stats.
Yeah.
But you're right. Those receivers, I mean, that AJ Brown against Chicago, I don't love, but all the other 3, I mean, those are just awesome matchups.
And I mean, Tyreek Hill just had a huge game. So sometimes, do they get away from that? Carolina, I feel like you more run the ball against than throw. So maybe this becomes a CEH/Le'Veon Bell game for the Chiefs, but you never want to throw out Mahomes and Tyreek Hill hitting a whammy. Todd Gurley, pull up his stats really quick game log because he's funny. He's a guy that, we watched his game last week. I mean, look at
pretty nice.
We watched the game last week, and that Brian Hill was getting a lot of action, but it was on a Thursday night. So with Gurley, maybe they were just resting him because before that, he was getting a lot of the, he scored in every game but 2 this year. So that's what's saving him. I think with the 10-day rest for Gurley, we might see the best Gurley we've seen all year long against Denver. So especially going into a bye week, I'm not off of Gurley this week at all. And I just, I mean, I pencil Antonio Brown in there somewhere. If it's for a quarterback or even if it's for Robbie Anderson, as damn good as Robbie Anderson's been, I don't know how you don't throw Antonio Brown out in his debut on Sunday Night Football. I just don't.
Well, I got Blake in a close one. Sounds like Casey, you're going Cappers. What's your official call, Moose?
Yeah, I'm going Blake in a close one too. I think
10-point game, a Sunday night game. We got Monday night defense, so that's what it'll be, a Monday night game.
Pull up Dalton Schultz because I feel like that guy needs to be dropped. I know he started out well, but I mean, it's just tight end's a really weird position. But with that quarterback issue going on in Dallas, like I have no faith. I feel like there's other guys out there that you could probably play around with. So
tough ass pass D's they've seen though since who went down.
Yeah,
11-1, 5-7. They got some easier ones coming up, but really some tough ones too. All right. Well, okay. Looks like we're going 2 for 1 there on Blake's team. Now we've got respects. We got your team, Moosa, against Swan Song Squad. I'll give you lead off here since it's your team.
Yeah, I mean, I blame Casey for this curse that he has put on this team. So, like 5 weeks ago, right before all these injuries started happening, Casey said something that was true. So I'll give him that. He was saying my team was just relatively healthy for like 2 seasons. All of last season, didn't really have any crazy injuries. And to start this year, I was really pumped, man. Dak was way better than I could have even expected. He was the guy. I mean, he's that guy that's a player and a half type guy, right? He's gonna put the 50s up every game. Like it was just like cake, like clockwork. And so I knew I had a big dick guy, and Cooper was benefiting off him. So Dak and Cooper, I was getting 80 a game, 85. I mean, that was huge. And Thielen was doing his thing. Everything was going great, and then the dominoes started hitting. Right, so my team is decimated. I'm not gonna lie, it's not looking good. Thank God for Tom Brady. Thank you, AJ. So appreciate that gift. But I'm out. I'm out 2 starting running backs. Obviously, I'm out Dak. I got wide receivers hurt. But I think I looked at the matchup, and I think this one's also going to be tight. If I were to guess, I give the edge to AJ. I like a little bit more of what he has. Kind of, I think our quarterbacks are going to be close to a wash. I think with Cousins, you never know, but with Deshaun has a pretty good matchup. Brady should be okay, but after that, I slightly give AJ the nod in some of the areas, all the other skill positions, just because my wideouts have really fallen off a cliff. Amari, I don't know what he's going to do every week now. I don't know what the hell's going on with Mike Evans. Him and Brady have some kind of thing. And now with Godwin and Antonio Brown coming back, the optimist in me thinks that hopefully opens him up to get single coverage, and he doesn't get these double covered anymore. But at the same time, it's only one ball. So I like AJ. I think with AJ's team, it's feast or famine because he has so many young guys. But I think the young guys come through this week. I think they have some. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, I don't know. That's a tough one, but the other matchups look intriguing for him.
Yeah, good reverse jinx there. Picking AJ against yourself. Casey, how do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I mean, the big play on the board right now looks like Deshaun Watson off the bye against the Jags. I think Watson could put up a really big game. I already said I was kind of high on Will Fuller this week. So I think Watson is big. We talk about it with AJ's team a lot. These, in his last 3 weeks, his rookie receivers have only really hit once together. So you just got to catch him with those. I mean, to me, the intriguing part of this matchup right here will be AJ's got Kirk Cousins. And then is Kirk Cousins going to go to Thielen, or is he going to go to Justin Jefferson? Because if it's a Justin Jefferson week, I think AJ's got this thing locked. If Thielen can go out there and have one of his big weeks, then I think it shifts back over to Moosa. And I think it could be as simple as that. He nailed it. I mean, Chubb goes down with injury. Miles Sanders goes down with – Dak goes down with the injury. Fitzpatrick just gets benched for some reason.
And I lost Gaskin this week now. Gaskin was my
no.
It's just when it rains, it pours.
Right on waivers, and okay, you're thinking and all of a sudden Brady gets ruled out with some weird injury. So no, he just can't really get anything right. Justin Jackson's coming off a huge game, kind of undercover last week. People forgot. I think he threw up a 30-something last week. So yeah, I mean, he all of a sudden, after a week where it looked like they were kind of shifting back to Kelly, now Justin Jackson's back playable. So I don't hate that matchup. With AJ, Swift and Fournette, we haven't seen it yet really consistently with Swift, so you're not really worried there. I do like David Johnson being healthy off of that bye in that Houston game, so I'm not mad at that one either. But I agree, the Amari Cooper thing right now, he's going to just need to be able to beat CeeDee Lamb for sure. And Slayton's an X factor. Slayton's one of those guys that, like you said, I think 2 of those missed passes by Daniel Jones last week were 40-yard passes to Slayton.
Yeah. No, exactly. Sucks, man. I mean, I have Crowder sitting on the bench who's been good all year, but he's got New England this week, so Belichick's going to stop their best player, which is probably Crowder right now. And they're going to
this one will be close. It's going to come down to Sunday Night Football, Brady, Mike Evans, and the Tampa D. I'm very anxious for the Brady Breeze matchup. It's always good when you see these Hall of Famers go heads up. I think both of them right now. I think if I remember correct, one of them is leading the other in career touchdown passes by 1. And it kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah, I think Brady
just passed him. I think so too. So I think that is going to be a game where both those quarterbacks know that that's the thing. They're going to want to outdo each other. I think it's going to be a quarterback passing touchdown heavy game. So I think Brady gets 4, Breeze gets 3, something like that. And if that happens and Brady can kind of keep pace with Deshaun Watson, I think Moosa's got a decent shot. And it's just because you just never know what's going to happen with Ruggs. You never really know what's going to happen with Justin Jefferson. So to me, it's coming down to Brady needs to match Watson. Thielen needs to match Jefferson, and not even match Jefferson. He needs to beat Jefferson. This needs to be a Thielen week. This one's tight. I want to say Moosa too, but I think AJ's the favorite.
Yeah, I saw this as the tightest matchup of the week for sure, along with the Randy game. It's gonna be tight. I don't know.
Piper and I, we're going Moosa, and we're going Moosa because I like the defensive play. I think this is just without any kind of factual evidence. I think Tampa Bay is going to give Breeze all kinds of trouble this weekend. They're a fast defense. They're getting better, and I just got a feeling that Breeze maybe a pick or two, maybe one of those bad Breeze games, and Michael Thomas not much of a factor at least this week. So that's Piper and I's pick. Let's go. We got two left, RDR and Los. I would love for Los to win this game somehow. That would be my favorite thing to happen this week. He got the 56 from Rogers, unfortunately.
Start for it though. He's off to a good start for the upset.
It would have been nice to get him a couple more passes to Tanyan. Spread it around there, Aaron. But
what helped him was Packers got chopped huge in the fourth.
Big time. They were at a 30-something.
You don't even trip about the Tanyan thing because Packers he lost 22 points in the third and fourth quarter. So his goal was to probably be up 20, 30, 35, and he's up 45 right now. So I think he definitely won the Thursday night matchup.
Packers D was the votes in Pennsylvania.
Aside from that, though, really interesting stuff.
He doesn't have a hole on his lineup, though. I mean,
no.
So
it's all good. Here's the thing, guys, about this.
Los has the two backups to Ian's starting running backs.
But this is going to be the unveiling. We are finally going to see the unveiling of RDR this week. I think this is going to be.
He's laying his dick on the table.
Look at this thing. This thing just out. We are going to see, ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Chase Edmonds, Christian McCaffrey, Julio, DJ Moore. He's got all the studs this week. Ladies, I don't know.
I don't know how Ian doesn't get a 300 this week.
He needs to make a statement. Yeah, I think he needs to get the 300 though. I think he needs to feel confident about his team that he can still post those 300. So
yeah, I know.
I'm not saying there's pressure, but there's definitely he needs to get that confidence of being RDR again.
Well, yeah, I agree. And we watched the zone. We watched Red Zone with Ian last week, and he's down on his team, and it's been banged up. But coming off of last year where I think he lost one game, he was throwing up 290s every week. And it's not happening right now, but it's because he didn't have Julio. It's because he didn't have McCaffrey. It's because Lamar Jackson's down a little bit, and he's not getting the 50s. But I don't know. I mean, just you look at the roster, and then you even look at the lineups, and it's scary.
This has blowout of the week.
Yeah, I agree. And it's too bad because Aaron Rodgers did his part with the 56. But, I mean, the running back difference right now is going to be too much. I like Los's receivers. He's got all of his guys back. Funny thing is he's not starting Claypool, who I actually think against Dallas has a great matchup. But I don't know how you put him in against any of the other guys. I mean, and Claypool's Los's guy. So I'd be curious to see if he sticks with Corey Davis. But Corey Davis has been really good too when he's played. I think he's matched A.J. Brown this year. So
he's been solid. Very for sure.
Yeah, but it's against the Bears too. So yeah, I mean, to me that's tough. But this thing comes down to the running backs. I mean, Mike Davis versus McCaffrey, Kenyon Drake. We don't even know if he's going to play, and then he doesn't
not going to play. He
doesn't have a running back on the bench. So
yeah, he's got no parachute there. That's for sure. That's a problem.
That's a problem. And so no, it's Ian. I'm expecting the high score of the season right now in Ian's first full game. Julio Jones without Ridley. I think we've seen that enough. When Ridley sits, Julio Jones erupts. I mean, it's against I think that's 40 for Julio this week.
Yeah, I would love. This is going to be another tough one because Los is going to put up a pretty decent point total this week. He'll probably be 230 to 240, and he's going to. Yeah, you're right. He's probably going to lose, and it's just going to continue that rough year for Los narrative. Just the sorry bitch of the year.
Agreed.
All right, so I think we're all three picking RDR here.
Yeah.
Pretty comfortable.
All right, but fingers crossed for you, Los, baby. We're pulling for you. Last one, an interesting game. One that Jeff doesn't need this. Jeff, just throw it away. You don't need this game. You're 7-1, baby. You don't need this shit. Just bench Ryan. Just throw in. Start Goff. I mean, he might put up a couple points for you on a bye. Good start for me last night. We got snuck 23 out of McKinnon. Got a late lucky touchdown there, or else that would have been even. We'll see on Stafford. That I would prefer to start Stafford there. But how do you guys see this pulling out? I'm obviously missing some key guys, but have a decent defensive matchup, and Jeff is down at receiver, of course.
I'll say the Irvin 17 kind of hurt you though. Like you were like, oh shoot, Aaron Jones is starting. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Shit, and then he goes out and gets 17. A lot of it at the end. So that kind of it hurts him in 23.
Good start, Jeffrey.
You're hoping to kind of get like a 23-8, 23-10 lead, because every point's going to count for you. The Stafford blow, that's huge, because I'm not sold on Tua, obviously, as a Fitzpatrick guy. No,
he looked like shit last week.
Yeah, he did. He played like shit last week, man. So I have to give the big edge.
Played a football game in over a year, so like you expected some rust out of Tua early, and I think the Cardinals' defense will give them problems with Budda Baker and Peterson.
You do have a big edge in the. I really am not sold on Hollywood Brown. Jacoby Myers obviously no good. Juju's had a down year. So if you're going to make up some points, it's going to be with your 3 wideouts and Kelsey for sure.
Yeah.
You need the Lockett game.
Yeah, you need that Lockett game. You need to be up big from those 4 skill positions. I think your defense is going to look really nice this week. Your quarterbacks, gosh, they just have to stay within Ryan's and Foles' range, because I think Foles actually pulls out a decent game this week. We'll see.
If I can get 60 out of my quarterbacks, I'll take it.
Yeah, I think right now. You got 30 from each.
I love this matchup. It's a tale of 2 halves where it's like, look at Jeff's team. His quarterbacks and running backs have a distinct advantage over you, but then you're coming in from the rear with the wideouts and the tight end and the defense, and it kind of evens out the matchup almost. It's too close to call, man. It's a pick 'em.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, the Dalvin Cook 75 or whatever he had last week is the number that just keeps jumping out at me. When Dalvin Cook comes off a game like that, it's the reason I'm siding with Jeffrey. Look at that. Dalvin Cook has been as good as any running back in the league we've had right now. So to me, that's big. And I don't hate the matchup against the Lions. I think he can get, 40 or 50. I'm curious right now because, Jonathan Taylor's been really bad. He's been banged up, but I think he probably goes this week. Starting McKinnon, though, it's tough to get him in. I guess you'd have to pivot off of David Montgomery. That 7, though, just hurt.
I'm just avoiding the Ravens D. That's what we're doing here. We got other options we can go with. Now,
I will say, Tyler Lockett, it's hard to predict his games between him and DK. Last week was a DK game. I think you attack Buffalo in the slot, though. If White's going to play, I'm sure White's going to be on DK Metcalf. So I think that should open it up for Tyler Lockett, which will be big. But yeah, you look at Tyler Lockett, he's had 3 just busted games. You can't afford that. He gets you anything under 12 points, I don't think you have a shot. Now, that being said, I do like Tyler Lockett this week. The Matt Stafford thing, I don't think he's officially ruled out. I think the 5 days, he could come back Sunday morning with negative tests.
I think he's going to play, but he's just not going to be practicing.
That would be huge. That would be huge.
I actually almost went Chase Daniel instead of Mullins, but I was like, you know what? I couldn't run that risk of Stafford playing. So
it's such a good matchup for you too, Rob.
He's COVID. He was COVID negative yesterday, and there's still a chance.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't Matt Stafford? Didn't Matt Stafford have COVID earlier this summer? I think he was one of the positive tests really early on. So I don't know. Does this go into that whole thing where like people can get it twice now? I don't know, but I could almost guarantee that Matt Stafford already tested positive for a COVID.
I think this might have been a false positive.
I think so too.
Possibly.
Well, they even said I think it was close contact. I think somebody in their family had it. So we'll see. I am on the side of thinking Stafford actually plays.
This is the mutated COVID. This is the Motaba virus from
Now, I think for Jeffrey, Antonio Gibson's been coming on strong and he's coming off a bye. So we'll see which Gibson shows up against the Giants. But I'm actually opposite of Moosa. I think this is a Hollywood Brown week. He came out in the media and was very kind of critical of his usage. We saw what Marquise could do last year, and he hit whammies all game. And you attack the Colts through the air. I think I've got Marquise Brown getting a whammy this week. I think he's sitting on a 30 plus. So I think that's why you need Tyler Lockett. But I really think Marquise Brown has a good matchup this week. And the fact
if Hollywood breaks 25, Rob, I don't think you have a chance this week, because I think he's the guy that you need to have the floor game from, because he's so boom or bust, and you need the bust game. I mean, yeah, I can see. I guess I definitely have noticed that Hollywood Brown has been kind of like wanting the ball more and just kind of frustrated with his performance. But at the end of the day, I mean, Lamar, yeah, if Lamar can get going, I mean, it's really kind of on Lamar more than Hollywood sometimes.
It really is. I've seen highlights of Brown being wide open and Lamar missing him. So I think that's what it comes down to. All it takes is for them to hit once. And I think if Hollywood hits one time this week, that's going to be too much. And
Christian Kirk going, Rob. That Christian Kirk's been having some good games lately, though. So it looks like he's turned it around. And
he's been very touchdown dependent. Like, look up I think he's catching a touchdown on like 70% of his receptions. So I know that. I mean, look at that. 2 for 2, 2 for 5, just in the last 2. Like, you
like Kirk because you like the guy that's throwing the Kirk, really. You know, you like the offense there. So
it'll be
like Kirk because you got Kyler there spreading it out.
It'll be close. I wish I had Cooper Kupp and T. Higgins this week. That's for sure. But we don't, and we're gonna hopefully our depth could pull through. Do like my running backs, because I love those two matchups. So hopefully they can maybe do a little bit above what they're average. Maybe we can get a 30 and a 25 out of them. But you're right. I think Jeff. If I had a gun to my head, I'd probably pick Jeff. But I think it's gonna be very close.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's gonna be Jeff just edging out just a little bit. But I'm not confident on either of you guys.
It's just crazy that Jeffrey can get to 8-1 with as banged up as he's been. You know, to win a game without Calvin Ridley, Goff on bye, you know, Rager and Goddard now on bye. He gets to 8-1, and all those guys coming off bye and getting healthy. Like, I don't see a loss for him. It's crazy.
Oh, he's giving them 8-1. Rob, you hear that? It's a done deal. He said.
I love the reverse jinx, baby. Now I have had a lot. Like, there's two franchises I did no research.
Guys. This is the Georgia game. It's going to be.
I think Matt Ryan and Julio Jones do what Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams did last week.
They could. I mean, that's in play.
I really do. I mean, I think that's my play. If I'm playing DFS, that's my stack. Is I'm going Matt Ryan and Julio Jones both throwing up 50s. So
the only one thing I'll add here is I should have done the research beforehand, but I'm 7-1 against Wade the last 8. I think it's a similar thing with Jeffrey. I feel like it's a 6-2 or a 5-3. It's definitely, even when he's had better teams. So I'm still picking you, Jeff, just to reverse jinx you, but it'll be close, baby.
I will say that Juju and Ebron, those guys have been up and down, but against Dallas right now, people are just doing whatever they want against Dallas. And, we've talked about that with the Kinney side with Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers D. Like, I think that game could get out of hand. And
they're not terrible against the pass though, Casey. They're horrible. They can't stop a running back.
Yeah, I know. But they're going to get their scoring opportunities. And Juju's actually been coming on quietly the last 2 weeks.
He has.
He was a guy that a couple weeks ago you were like, what the heck's going on? But he's gotten hot and he's getting his targets.
All right, boys. Well, good luck to both of you this weekend. Good luck to the rest of the SKFL. Hopefully there's no injuries except to Ian's team that changes the balance of the league. Damn it. No Washington football too sucks. That just pissed me off.
Oh, man. I know. What a bummer. You can't have it all this week, Rob.
At least I'll get to go to bed early, but man, why? Both Purdue and Washington. Fuck that.
You take the Biden win and you go with that, and we can't ask for too much, right?
It's a win. Yeah, I know. I'll take it. I'll punt the Husky game for a Biden win.
All right, guys. Well, have a good weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. All right, boss.
All right. It's all set. Good shit.
Yeah, really good. I had my props and I forgot to bring them out.
Ow. I was wondering where Rob's Tua jersey was in the back.
Well, we'll see. I mean, if he's got to throw for more than 100 yards in a game before we invest in a jersey.
It's crazy though. I mean, like we talked about in these I looked at it when I was looking at these matchups, and it was like, man, this is a crazy week. Like 5 games, you can make the case go either way. Like those ones are always fun. And what I like, there's not going to be much Monday action because it's the Patriots Jets, and